And first of all, there will be a presentation of the team Masera-T. Team Masera-T will give a presentation on suggestions for developing cybersecurity plan guidelines to enhance ship cybersecurity.
What the?
As ships are becoming digitalized, there is a crucial need to enhance cybersecurity.
That's why we need a CSP.
For the complete safety of the maritime industry.
To make oceans safer.
We will continue to work toward a clean and secure oceans.
We are Team Masera-T.
Respected judges, distinguished delegates, and esteemed guests, we are Team Masera-T, and we will be presenting the suggestions for developing the cybersecurity plan guidelines to enhance ship cybersecurity. So the order of our presentation will be as follows. First, background. Second, problem analysis. Third, solution. And finally, conclusion. First, let's delve into the background of our topic. In recent years, the maritime industry has witnessed a profound transformation due to the integration of advanced digital technology aboard ships. As a result, the majority of ship equipment has become digitalized. Furthermore, the advent of low-orbit satellites has expanded the connectivity of these devices, not only within their respective frameworks, but also with external networks. Consequently, addressing cybersecurity threats on ships has evolved to become an imperative necessity rather than an option. Let's take a look at some recent incidents of ship cybersecurity threats. Since 2017, we have observed many different incidents. This upward trend, compared to the past, necessitates a more urgent need to bolster cybersecurity measures as we embrace a more technologically advanced environment. It was also revealed in a study that about 69% of shipping companies were a target of cyber attacks in 2017 alone. Furthermore, the 2022 Global Maritime Issue Monitor Report has identified maritime cybersecurity as a significant concern for the decade. And with the surge in reliance on technology, ships are increasingly vulnerable to diverse cyber attacks. This reality compels us to formulate a comprehensive cybersecurity response strategy to mitigate such risks effectively. So now to the problem analysis. Now let's turn our attention to the current response of shipping companies to cybersecurity threats. In a research that we have cited, cybersecurity plans of 8 different shipping companies, each specializing in different types of ships, were compared. It was found that each company's cybersecurity plan had a different name. So as you can see in the PPT, some named it a cybersecurity instruction, some an operation guidance, and some a cybersecurity procedure, some a cybersecurity response plan, and so on. And these differences cause confusion when responding to a cybersecurity incident, making it challenging for seafarers across various shipping companies. This lack of standardization not only confuses responders, but it also contributes to a lack of visibility. The research extended to evaluating how well shipping companies currently address cybersecurity concerns. The contents of cybersecurity plans of the 8 shipping companies were compared with the cyber risk management approach of BIMCO's cybersecurity guidance circulated by the IMO. However, the findings revealed that many ship owners had failed to incorporate IMO's recommendations into their cybersecurity plan, resulting in disparate quality among the cybersecurity plans of each shipping company. Notably, the MSc 98th session issued recommendations urging ship owners and ship management companies to include cybersecurity measures in the ship's SMS until the first annual review of the document of compliance after January 1st, 2021. This, once again, emphasizes the need for a standardized cybersecurity plan within the SMS framework. As seen in this slide, despite the many cybersecurity guidelines from different institutions or organizations and industries like BIMCO and NIST and KR, none of them explicitly addresses the guidelines for the development of a cybersecurity plan. So recognizing the escalating threat of cyber attacks, we believe that establishing guidelines for the development of a cybersecurity plan is imperative to minimize damage in the event of a cyber attack incident.
Now we start solution. Before getting into our solution, we found that there are no CSP development guidelines in any IMO document. In this context, the digitalization of ship equipment and recent advances in cyber hacking techniques have increased the threat of maritime cybersecurity. As a solution, we have recognized the problem of CSP as systemic issue and believe that there is need for CSP development guidelines that can be efficiently and fully addressed. Our proposal aims to establish internationally standardized guidelines for CSPs, specifically designed to facilitate rapid responses and recovery in the event of cybersecurity threat on board ships. This initiative closely aligns with IMO Strategic Direction SD number 2, 5, and 7. In line with SD2, which calls for the integration of new technologies into the regulatory framework, the 107th MS meeting made revisions to the guidelines for maritime cyber risk management. SD5 emphasizes the increase of digital technology on shipping operation, consequently exposing them to cyber risk. And while the IMO approved the guidelines on maritime cyber risk management in 2017, these guidelines are only recommendations. As seen in this 2016 BIMCO Cyber Threat Survey, 75% of respondents had experienced cyber incident, with only 40% taking the precautions. This emphasizes the need for cooperative effort to address this concern and the importance of establishing an effective international regulatory framework, as mentioned in SD7, to secure critical shipboard system in light of escalating digital dependence and potential cybersecurity threats. To accomplish this goal, we conducted both content and instrumental analysis, drawing insights from documents such as 107th MS Meeting Circular and BIMCO guidelines. We categorize potential cybersecurity threats into different types related to ships, shipping company, and both ships and companies. Additionally, we employ tools such as flowchart and feedback system referencing resolution MEPC 54/2 Shipboard Oil Pollution Emergency Plan, SOPEP development. This approach aligns with IMO strategic directions and our missions to enhance cybersecurity within the maritime industry. Furthermore, we conducted a survey targeting onboard officers to collect input for the development of these guidelines. The survey results demonstrated that explanatory text and flowchart were the most effective for proactive emergency responses. Based on these findings, we finalized a flowchart example outlining drafting guidelines for addressing malware or ransomware infections on the ships. To explain the flowchart, firstly, we have separated the tasks that the ship's company should deal with in case of malware or ransomware infection on the ship, and the tasks that the crew of the ship should deal with. Secondly, since the infection is carried out by the vessel, the first step is to report the infection to the ship company's IT manager as soon as the vessel notices something. And the flow of the process is divided into a simple dichotomy of yes or no to improve the efficiency of the work process. Finally, By suggesting the end of the workflow and a clear way of handling the problem, it is possible to provide seafarers with efficient work instruction in the event of a cybersecurity threat. This approach ensures the creation of practical guidelines that can be readily comprehended and quickly responded by onboard crew members.
Now, I will finalize Masera-T's presentation with conclusion. This study tried to solve the problem by referring to from the cybersecurity plans by referring to instrumental guidelines by utilizing the form of SOPAP and contents analysis by IMO circular documents and BIMCO's guideline. Based on our research findings and opinions of stakeholders, we have successfully established the foundational structure of CSP. The guideline will serve as a guide for the shipping industry as it moves toward digitalization. At the most recent 107th MS meeting, a proposal to revise the guidelines for maritime cyber risk management was adopted as a new output. In the meeting, IMO truthfully agreed that there is a need to revise the guideline on maritime cyber risk management to include the latest cybersecurity guidance, next steps for enhancing maritime cybersecurity, and other related services. Masera-T's request the consideration for the development of more specific guidelines and believes that our proposal will provide a solid foundation for this purpose. Therefore, we respectfully request that our proposal be referenced in the revision agenda of the upcoming MSC meeting as a foundation material to enhance the quality and efficiency of maritime cybersecurity. However, we acknowledge the four limitations of our research. First, it does not cover all of the current and evolving cybersecurity issues. Likewise, in this table, various kinds of cybersecurity issues attacks continue to emerge in the maritime sector, and the situation is constantly evolving. Secondly, the proposal is limited to the documents consulted during the research, such as IMO's documents, BIMCO's guideline, and SOPAP. In order for CSP to be used as an official guidelines in the international maritime sector, there is a need to diversify the types of references for CSP production. Third, only a few countries have interest in this matter. This is because each country has different awareness level and infrastructure of cybersecurity. But it is crucial to consider the issue with various countries to gain the diversity of inputs and opinions. Lastly, there remains limitations from the narrow scope of our survey conducted for CSP research and development. The survey, to gather some opinions from stakeholders, is limited to the Korean officers and are limited to the relatively small number of people. Likewise, a comparison of cybersecurity plans of 8 companies was conducted only for Korean shipping companies. This relatively narrow scope of our survey restricted us from comprehensively identifying the latest security threats and cyber risk. In final remarks, our proposal of production guidelines for CSP is a significant step toward upholding the IMO's vision. By discussing the proposal at the IMO's level, it would increase the adoption of production guidelines for CSP in the short term. Through the official CSP guideline, the unity of CSP would be achieved in the middle term. And lastly, in the long term, it would be possible to safeguard the maritime industry from evolving cybersecurity threats. And ultimately, our proposal could realize the IMO's vision of ensuring safe, secure, and efficient shipping on clean oceans. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Team Masera-T, for your nice presentation. And there will be a Q&A session. Now I'd like to invite judges for questions for this topic. Yes, Dr. Park.
Thank you for your informative to the proposal, and I think it's very good idea. I would like to have a question related to the mandatory basis rule or to the voluntary basis. What is the difference between both of them? And so one is there are many industry guidelines related to the cybersecurity. And so as your team, as my understanding, your team is proposed to the mandatory guideline, am I right?
No, we're not suggesting a mandatory guideline.
Mandatory, yeah.
No, it's not
No,
a
it's
mandatory
not?
guideline.
Yeah.
Yes.
What is different? What is a big difference to the existing to the guidelines, such as BIMCORE and other KL is even to the IMO also to now it exists to the mandatory guidelines such as the ISM code and another circulations. And I would like to listen to the idea is what is the advantage between in comparison with between to the mandatory base or the voluntary basis.
Yes, thank you for judges' questions, and we proposed not a mandatory propose as the only it is the volunteer propose, and as we mentioned there is no CSP development guidelines in any IMO document, but we think about the need for the CSP development guidelines because current CSP has many systemic issues.
Sorry, I would like to add on to his answer. Firstly, thank you so much for your question. Like we explained, this isn't mandatory. We're just suggesting a guideline because right now we know that currently IMO and other institutions like BIMCO and KR and NIST, they do have these guidelines, but as we explained, it's very vague. And they have no mentions about the CSP production guidelines. So that's why we're suggesting that if there is a more simpler and more easier way of implementing the CSP guidelines, it would be more easier for the shipboard personnel to react in the event of a cybersecurity incident.
As my understanding, I think it is possible as a recommendation to the shipping company as of the cybersecurity plan. Already to the shipping company is considered the kind of to the cybersecurity plan. And the problem is when is the rise, when is the maker accident response to as of the cybersecurity. I would like to listen to your idea when the cybersecurity is accident, broke is accident. How do you approach to response to the cybersecurity accident? Do you have any scenario or your idea and procedure? Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for your question. Like we explained earlier, so we do have a response plan, like we showed you back to our, sorry. Because right now the current procedures, they don't, it's very complicated. They don't have a simple procedure. So it's very difficult, like we said, to react. So we actually made a simple flowchart system. So what we did is we surveyed current officers that are on board. Yes, so we surveyed current officers, and a lot of the results that we got a feedback from was that a flowchart system would be so much easier to implement in a real life situation when a cybersecurity incident happens. So as you can see in our flow chart, we divided it into the seafarer and also from the shipping company personnel perspective. So obviously as seafarers, we have limits on how we should act, and that's why we made this whole procedure. So what happens is we're going to, from the seafarer, we're gonna go and we're gonna inform it to the shipping company, and from there, an IT manager who is a bit more specialized in that field can help and react.
Yeah, okay, I think I understand. Thank you for the answer.
Okay, thank you so much. And are there any questions from judges? Okay, let's move to the audience. I'll try to give you a fair chance. Yeah, Team Cyber Sheriffs.
Thank you for your presentation, and I have a question. Is that, given the rapid evolution of cybersecurity threats, how do you plan to keep the guidelines up to date and relevant in the face of emerging threats?
Thank you so much for your question, thoughtful question. Could you just give us 1 second? Thank you. Okay, so thank you for your question. So our team believes that the IMO should take the initiative to set the tone for the achievement of cybersecurity on board ships. And especially as cybersecurity on board ships isn't just about the safety of the ship, but it can also cause great economic damage to the ship owner, so that the ship owners and other shipping stakeholders can actually discuss this and on how to address these security threats. So what we can do is we can allow for this platform where they can address these security threats and also update the proposed guidelines to create a more realistic cybersecurity plan. Like in our presentation, we also devised a feedback system from resolution MEPC 5432's document. So like we cited SOPEP's feedback system. And these guidelines for the production of SOPEP will actually help us to ensure that there's a quick feedback, and therefore will help us to update the systems faster, and hence that will help us to respond to realistic threats that can be updated on board to create a complete cybersecurity plan. I hope that answered your question.
Okay, thank you. And I think we can take one more question. Yes, Team Lifeguard.
First of all, thank you for your wonderful presentation. As far as I'm concerned, I thought that you talked about in your earlier part of the presentation about how existing guidelines on like the safety measures and cybersecurity are existing, but they are not that effective in the status quo because they are not mandatory. However, the plan that you have also devised seems non-mandatory, as you have been answering about. So what is the exact difference between the existing plans and the current system that you have provided in terms of those not being non-mandatory, but how's the difference? Like, how can your plan encourage ships to cooperate and just participate in the process?
Thank you so much, Lifeguard, for your outstanding question. So like we said in our presentation, even though the set of rules are mandatory or non-mandatory, right now the most important problem is that we don't have a standardized guideline. So because we don't have a standardized guideline, it causes confusion. So the first thing that we need to solve is to make a standardized guidelines so that globally all shipping companies can able to respond to this kind of incidents. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and I would like to spend more time on Q&A session, but we are out of time. So thank you very much, Team Masera-T. Everyone, please give them a big round of applause.
Thank you so much.